Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Stuart here from Spain Speaks with an update on the current situation here in Spain, day 302 of the current situation. And for the first time in 302 days, the pandemic has been knocked off the front pages of the press here in Spain because of the severe snowstorm that has affected a large part of the country, but more about that in just a moment. Firstly, a big thanks to all of the people that left comments on the last video. Lots of comments, lots of debate happening there as usual. Thanks to people that supported the channel through a donation. You can see your names here. Thanks to people that bought merchandise, and a big thanks to my patrons on Patreon for your support. Now, let's get into the news, and as I said, it's all about snowstorms here in Spain at the moment, or at least in this part of Spain. There are some parts of the country that haven't been affected by snowstorms or heavy rain, but not many. And as we can see here, record snowfall blankets Spain, bringing transport in and out of Madrid to a standstill. A persistent blizzard has blanketed large parts of Spain with 50-year record levels of snow, halting traffic and leaving thousands trapped in cars or in train stations and airports that had suspended all services as the snow kept falling on Saturday. The first official victims of Storm Filomena were a man and a woman whose bodies were recovered by the Andalusia Regional Emergency Service after their car was washed away by a flooded river near the town of Fuengirola. 10 provinces of central Spain were on their highest level of alert, including the capital Madrid, where authorities activated the red warning for the first time and called in the military to rescue people from vehicles trapped on everything from small roads to the city's major thoroughfares. So there we go, 10 provinces here in central Spain on their highest alert, and Madrid activating a red warning for the first time ever. Now, some good news about the storm, at least for people living in the centre of Spain, and it is that the snowstorm has subsided in the centre but leaves 3 communities on red alert due to the extreme risk of snowfall. Storm Filomena, which has collapsed half of Spain with heavy snowfalls, is beginning to lose strength in the centre of the country, although it will continue to show its effects in Aragon, where snow is still expected, Catalonia and the Valencian community. So Storm Filomena in some parts of the country not over yet. Now, anybody who saw my video yesterday would have seen just how much snow we had in this particular part of Madrid. Around 50 or 60 centimetres of snow, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, and movement in and around this part of Spain is going to be difficult for the next week or so. As I mentioned yesterday, authorities were forced to close the airport and it still hasn't opened, and trains and other forms of public transport are still not moving. Nobody knows exactly when the snow will be cleared and things start getting back to normal, but the Madrid president Isabel Díaz Ayuso has come out and said that we need a lot of citizen collaboration and help to remove all the snow. The president of the Madrid community talked about the management of Storm Filomena on Antena 3 Noticias, and she said that 3 times more snow fell on the capital than was originally forecasted. So citizen collaboration there required to help remove the snow. I, for one, have been outside trying to clear the snow off the footpaths, but I'll tell you what, it's a tough job, especially if you don't have the tools to get it done properly. And unfortunately, the weather's not going to be on our side when it comes to removing this snow. As we can see, a record cold after the big snow is predicted, and after 30 hours of continuous snowing, a big cold wave arrives that will cause thermometers to drop below 10 below zero next week, and ice and snow accumulation are the perfect combination for accidents to occur. Now, as I also mentioned yesterday, the snowstorm has paralysed the central part of the country, but the government came out yesterday and ensured that the supply of vaccines against the coronavirus and food is guaranteed. The ministers Marlaska and Abalos have assured that the government is working to guarantee the supplies of vaccines and food despite the heavy snowstorms left by the storm. They are preparing convoys for trucks to transport medicines and food. Now let's have a look at the health situation here in Spain by looking at a map of the country and various autonomous communities. Starting here with a map of Spain, we can see that the risk level around the country is high. The total amount of cases now topping the 2 million mark. The accumulated incidence rate for the last 14 days now at 350. There have been 590 COVID-related deaths in the last 7 days, and there are currently 14,951 people hospitalised in Spain with COVID, and there are 2,318 COVID patients in ICUs, which is just over 24% of all ICUs in the country. The Madrid community now, the risk level is extreme. The total amount of cases, the accumulated incidence rate in the last 14 days now topping 500. There have been 77 COVID-related deaths in the last 7 days. There are 396 COVID patients hospitalised in the Madrid community, and there are 42 COVID patients in ICUs, which is just under 20% of all ICUs in the Madrid community. Catalonia now, the risk level is also extreme. The total amount of of cases. The AI rate in the last 14 days now sitting at 434. There have been 51 COVID deaths in the last 7 days. There are currently 1,297 patients hospitalized in Catalonia with COVID, and there are 234 COVID patients in ICUs in Catalonia, which is just over 14% of all ICUs in that autonomous community. And finally, now the Canary Islands, we can see that the risk level there is medium. The accumulated incidence rate in the last 14 days now sitting at 133. There have been 17 COVID deaths in the last 7 days in the Canary Islands. There are 787 people currently hospitalized with COVID there, and there are currently 100 patients in ICUs with COVID in the Canary Islands, which is just over 26% of all ICUs in the Canary Islands. Now, the pandemic here in Spain is showing no signs of easing up, and various autonomous communities have announced that they are going to tighten restrictions. Madrid, for example, has said that it is going to extend restrictions to 23 new areas and 9 municipalities, and there are now 1.2 million people confined in the Madrid community. Andalusia has also decided to bring the curfew forward and has cut the hours of commerce and hospitality. The junta is maintaining the perimeter closure to stop the advance of the virus, although it is allowing mobility between municipalities. The Andalusian government has established a curfew between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. and is maintaining the meeting limit at 6 people both inside and outside the home. Hotel businesses may open until 6 in the afternoon, except cafeterias, which may open until 8 p.m. as long as they do not sell alcohol in this time slot. They have also established as a cut-off time 9:30 p.m. to pick up food in establishments, with home delivery authorised until 11:30 p.m. Shops may also open in Andalusia until 8 p.m. So Madrid and Andalusia, just two of the many autonomous communities around Spain that are tightening restrictions at the moment because of an increase in cases due to the pandemic. Now let's have a look at some of the comments from previous videos. One here from Mark: did not know it was even possible to get snow in Madrid. Yeah, Mark, thanks for the comment. It is possible, as we have seen in recent days. Snow does fall in this part of the world. Not very often, at least here. If you go to the north of Madrid, it's more common to see snow. But in this part of the Madrid community, which is in the southeast, the last time it snowed heavily was about 10 years ago. And that snowstorm was mild compared to the one we had yesterday. So although it's not common here, it does happen from time to time. But if you go to some of the northern areas of Spain, if you go to places like Burgos, Palencia, Soria, León, Aragon, snowfall is very common during the winter months. One here from Ellie: it's lovely, Stuart. Do Spaniards know how to drive in the snow? Yeah, Ellie, thanks for the comment. As I said before, it depends where you live in Spain, whether or not you're going to be used to driving in those conditions. I, for example, am not used to driving in those conditions, and I imagine that's the same for the majority of people living in the Madrid community, except for those people that live in the mountains. And we only just have to see how many people were trapped in their cars overnight or how many accidents there were to realize that people are not prepared for the conditions that we have experienced in recent days. But if we get a few more winters like this one, I'm sure that people will get used to driving in these conditions pretty quickly. One here from Ben: wow, a fairly impressive amount of snow in Madrid, Spain for sure. Living where I do in Wisconsin, sometimes affectionately called the frozen tundra, a significant snowfall would be closer to 30 plus centimeters of accumulation, and that amount of snow will even still slow us Wisconsinites down for just a bit. But you learn to live with it and appreciate it when equipped with the proper gear and experience. Take care, stay safe, keep warm. Yeah, Ben, thanks for the comment, and the key is what you mentioned there at the end, that you have to have the proper gear and experience. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't have the proper gear or the experience to deal with the snowfall, and that's not only the citizens but governments as well. And the problem is, as I mentioned before, that these things happen here once every 10 years, so I imagine that not a lot of people go out and invest on snow removing machinery. But one thing I definitely will be doing is investing in some proper clothes, especially boots, because the ones that I've got are not up to the challenge and they let me down badly yesterday. One here from Wendy: hi Stuart, greetings from Nova Scotia, Canada. I have to admit I did chuckle a bit. Still, that is up to Canadian standards for a snowfall warning. Not quite a blizzard, but be careful shoveling. It looks wet and heavy and can be stressful on your heart. Take care and enjoy a taste of Canada. Yeah, Wendy, thanks for the comment. Not only do I need to be careful with my heart when I'm shoveling, but also my back and my arms. I went to bed yesterday with a few aches and pains in places that I didn't know existed. And I want to say a big thanks to all of the people in Canada and North America and other places around the world, in the north of Europe also, that gave me some advice on how to deal with the snow, that I needed to get it off the parts quickly, and also other pieces of advice that came in very, very handy. Thank you very much, guys, for that. One here from Mary: and yeah, I am Norwegian and I live in Norway, but every winter I go to Spain for the sunshine, and we do have snow like this in Norway most of the time in winter season. Now we are in Malaga, La Cala, and this week we have a lot of rain coming down with power and people have already lost their life in the flooding. But today we had a sunny day. Yeah, at least the children have a good time in the snow. Walk slow and do not drive your car. Yeah, Marion, thanks for the comment and for the advice. And you're right, children have had a fantastic time over the last few days playing in the snow. These things, as I mentioned, don't happen every winter and you've got to get out and take advantage of them while they're here. And I saw that down in Malaga it was a bit wet and unfortunately a couple of people lost their lives. But I've just checked the weather forecast and have seen that it's going to be 16 degrees down there in Malaga on Wednesday, what I would give for 16 degrees at the moment. One here from Dot, back in Melbourne, Australia, we have it hot, over 30 degrees with fires in some of our country. I lived in Illinois and shoveled snow every morning around this time of year. Enjoy it, it won't last. Yeah, Dot, thanks for the comment. I've also seen that it's been quite hot in Australia recently. I know that in Perth they have been experiencing very high temperatures over the last few weeks. Every time I tune into the radio down there in Australia, there seems to be a bushfire alert somewhere. So it's the complete opposite of what's going on here at the moment, and it just reminds me of how much I miss Australian summers at this time of the year. And finally, one here from Danonino, as we say in Spain, Año de Nieves, Año de Bienes. Yeah, Danonina, thanks for the comment. I think the English translation to that is a year of snow, a year of plenty. And to be honest, I wasn't familiar with the expression in either of the languages because when you come from Perth, Western Australia, this is an expression that you won't hear many people saying. But 2021 here in Madrid is definitely a year of snow. And let's hope some good things come our way. On that note, I'll start to wrap the video up. Questions and comments, please leave them in the section below. Debate the situation out as you normally do. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. I'll see you in the next one. Hasta luego.